So I got the carburetor back from them. It's still a dirty finish. It's like, you would think that they would do something nicer to this. But they left all the screws loose. I deliberately left in the note that everything was loose. And it's making me feel like they didn't do shit. So I left the jets loose. And this is loose too. So this is on the outside. And it's loose still. I deliberately left it loose. I told them I left it loose. I said the only thing I tightened were these screws on the outside. And the jets are loose, and I'm worried that the jets are still loose. I'm curious, did they do anything with the choke? Because they told them the choke was messed up too. Well, that's tightened, I guess. But I'm quite worried. Now I don't even know if they change. How can you change the accelerator pump without taking that out? I'm really curious what's in here now. Just like I said, everything is loose because I left it loose. Now I don't even know if they actually changed that. This is mind-blowing. How can they do that? This is all loose. I wrote them a note. They must have illegal aliens fucking rebuilding these carburetors. It's all the same dirt. They didn't even try to fucking clean it. It's a little wet inside because they put, I guess, fresh gas in there just to test it, but it's fucking insane. I wonder if they actually changed that. I'd have to look at old videos, but what a sham. Not to mention, whoever had this before, they actually cut off this part here, which is what the spring was supposed to be mounted to, the return spring. That's why it was always funny. I'm like, why is this so weird, you know? But I ended up putting it back together after having a long talk with the guy. Basically, he said, we did your friend a favor. We just looked at it, but all we do is flow bench it, and that's it. And I'm like, it says factory refurbished. Factory refurbished means it's brought up to new. I am just beyond words right now. They left everything that I had left loose. Just about finished off with it. And it's just insane. Insane that they don't actually go through everything. I had to readjust the float. It was off by a little bit only. It was really almost nothing, but it's like, if you sell something that's factory refurbished and it was all dirty on the inside, and they go, oh, we found no dirt, and they said missing parts. They put the plug back in. That's all they did, and put a couple of vacuum caps on. I'm just like, you gotta be kidding me, you know? There is so much wrong with everything, you know, in this world, you know, let alone just this. So, hopefully it runs, but all they did was change that little orange thing on the bottom. They didn't change the accelerator pump, and I'm pretty sure it didn't pump properly. So, what are you gonna do? You gotta pay like $50-$60 for the rebuild kit, and it just has a few gaskets. It's not a lot to this, but I'm like, I even asked the guy, can you send me something, you know, send me some parts? And it's just like, he just like let me talk. He didn't even answer me too much. He goes, are you done? Because I can't keep going back and forth like this. Either send it back or stop complaining, you know? So it's a joke. This fucking lighter has given me a real fucking ball buster of a time. So I guess this will be good for somebody who, you know, wants to do something with the lighter. The lighter worked one time, and of course it was on 12 volts. So then I don't think it fried. I think it still works, but it was really not so much the element here, but the socket. Everything was loose inside the socket, and it was like contacting, so it kept blowing the fuse when I was trying to put it in. So this has a different size thread, and this is a different size thread. And I drilled out this hole because I took the guts out of a modern one and put it in here, all to find out that this guy fits in here, but he doesn't fit in a modern one. What the fuck? Oh no, this is a modern. I love when I give myself a gotcha. All right, this is the original one. So the original one here, this guy. I'm sorry, this is the new one. This is the original one, and this is some other thread. I don't know. I couldn't find anything at the local hardware store that had 3/16 thread. I think they used to have it, but I rarely see it, and I don't even think it's that though, because it's very close to 10 millimeter. So I think it's like a carburetor thread is usually actually the same threads as like a gun. So that's the only way. It was funny because I lost a carburetor bolt one time, and I finally found a place that had bolts, and he tried a gun bolts, and it worked. So this guy does not fit in here. They made it bigger. So in the end, I'm like, well, you got to change. Even if I was able to try to fix the original somehow, I'm like, you got to change it, because then it's going to be loose fitting. Anything that you put in that cigarette lighter is going to be on the loose side. Maybe not because the way they put it, you know, but he has a new one down there that I'm putting in that it's hooked up, whatever. But it's not a lot of amperage. This thing would be good for a lot of amperage, like for a pump motor or something like that, for air pump or something like that. But now what I had to do, I had to take it apart, because I tried forcing it in one. It didn't work. It would not go in no matter what I did. It was too big of a thread on the original one, and this one was 1032s. So what I did is I popped off these three guys, and it normally has this guy on, which I cannot put on. I can put around, you know, something over there, and then it'll hold it down. But ultimately, I had to put a little nut on it to hold it on. I had to re-thread that. That was a pain. But it looks like it's going to work now. But this thing came off. I got to use the epoxy to get it back on. It's going to kind of be permanent. I may have to shave this down too. This guy here with the light going through it. All right, it's not proven to be very good. So I had a different idea, and hold the phone. As you can see, this is what happened the first time as I broke an end off, because every time I removed this, it was a pain. Now, I put a nut on the back here, but now I soldered it, because every time I went to go move it, I was yanking it out, and then I was thinking about soldering the 3 pieces that fold down, because what originally holds those 3 pieces down is another washer that goes over this, and I keep trimming off of this plastic piece here, and I really don't have any more room to trim. It's actually, the center is down more, so that center should actually hold it, but you know, when the thing heats up and everything, it's not like a super ideal thing for longevity. This guy don't smoke. It's not even an issue, but I want it to be bulletproof. So in the end, I got to get in one more, and I'm unwrapping it one time and then soldering it. I can't believe how well it's soldered, you know, all things considered, you know. So I had made it really tight, and then I gripped the nut and I turned it, so it came out. So my thing is that it's not always perfectly on center, so I want to be able to bend it around. And every time I bend it around, it pulls out of the little holes here. Hope you guys saw all that. See? And then basically you can see, oh, just as I pulled it out, the last one to the second one ripped off. And the second one ripped off and it fell inside. So that's wonderful. Always something, and that's what happened with the first one, you know. And Chinese know how to make things last 2 seconds. I tell you, you know. I had actually bought another one on top of that from Amazon, but it has a different plug. It's not. That's not a big deal. I can change it. And this one has a threaded thing, but by the time I'm done trying to convert it, because it's like a metric thread, it's not going to really work. But at least this one is, it's a threaded one, you know. That's kind of like what I wanted, you know. So I'm not going to say no, but you see they have a washer built in that holds it down, those 3 tabs down probably. So it's, see, this was the washer that was holding those 3 tabs down. So now I can drill out the hole, you know, technically, and then screw that thing back on. But every time I make this thing bigger, I got to grind this thing down more. And the thing is, now I got to grind down that metal thing if I go any further than that, because it's already protruding out, which is no big deal because it'll just go like that. But then you lose the throw trying to push it in. You know what I mean? And then when I re-epoxy this thing, I might have to pull it out a little bit and then epoxy it on, and hopefully that is straight, you know. So I was just thinking of a simple little stainless steel washer, not this whole cup thing, so I could just press right up against it. Although, like I said, it really shouldn't be that bad of a thing, but then again, this thing is not like on there. So it's the other thing is, like, I was thinking of a weak spring that'll just hold it against it, you know, but not affect the way it comes out. It never really, like, worked that great, you know, like, it was very sloppy all the time, you know, and I had to drill out that hole one size because when this thing fell off and I had put that thing on, I couldn't get it back on. I had to go from the other side, and I wasn't going to take it off, but now I ended up taking it off because I soldered it. Now I can actually remove it, so that's not so bad. So as long as I can get those 3 things, I'm going to buy another one, and then put those things in, and you know, just try to make something work here. I think I should. I'm very happy that it took a solder, so I don't see why, once I have the 3 tabs on, I won't be able to solder it. The only thing is I got spring tension on it and stuff, so that's a little difficult. So, but once they're all in, they're in. And then I should be able to solder those in. I'm not sure about a washer, you know, but I won't even need a washer because you're not going to see it. The point is the reason why they put a washer is to hold the 3 tabs in, you know. But it's like the more you try to play with it, it makes it all come apart. So I just don't want it to come apart. Once it locks in place, I don't think it's going to be an issue. But I do have to do my bends and everything to make sure that it's on target. It seems to be on target because I drilled out this hole and then I smashed it flat as much as I could in the middle. So it should be within a relative reason to work right, to work pretty well. And once it's soldered on the three ends, they won't pull out. They should just bend on, you know, tweak on the center. I don't want to say bend. Always something. So this thing is kind of a piece of shit. I got it all in, but I had to overlap this and I had to modify it inside because otherwise it was going to stick out like over here. But the whip itself has a separate little thing and it's crimped on metal, and so it has all this wiggle here. So this wiggle, when you screw it all the way in, first of all, this is all hollow. So the whip is stainless steel, but it's hollow. The end is not stainless. I thought it would be a solid piece of stainless steel. I don't think this is the one that I told you to buy, but it's all because of that thing. You can't do, the threads are tight, but that's how much it moves. So I think I'm going to just put some black tape on there and screw it in, unless you want to return it. I got to take it all out again, but it's kind of a piece of shit, unfortunately. All right, I put black tape. I had to put a bunch of layers, and as you can see, the tighter I made it, the more it had to overlap over here, getting real close to the fender, but there's no other way to do it. This is such a severe angle. So it's probably the correct one for this car, but it's working. I modified it to make it work. There's still a rattle, but the rattle is from the other pieces here. And this was like the old AM antennas that reached up to the fucking sky. That thing, you know, from the ground now, the top of this is, I can't even reach it, so it's got to be over 7 feet. So this is like you used to sit in the parking lot and pick up AM from a million miles away. So, you know, it's correct, period correct, I guess. But I don't know how much you're going to hear that rattle on the inside. But it is what it is. I'm sure it'll work. It's the least of your worries. All right, I've been busy with a bunch of stuff. We already know that the axle seal is no good. And even though this could just be washed off with the oil. So I'm going to do the wheel cylinders and the brakes. There's no point to this. The guy doesn't know, but I'm doing it. It's just too much shit here. It's really horrible. That line in the drum. I don't think that's a crack. But the other thing with these old cars is that they don't have an adjustment. Like the spring just kind of hangs out there. So I realized that these are 151 shoes. And I looked at other vehicles and I found, like, in fact, the guy owns a 71 Maverick with an 8-cylinder, so it has the 10-inch brakes. So in the end, it has the same exact shoes. So I ordered everything for that because this should fit in there just the same way. This should fit, and obviously this is going to stay put. We're going to put a new one though, but that all should fit in, and then the whole emergency brake thing will be the modern style, modern 70s, you know. But should be a lot better than now. Oh Jesus, that's wonderful. As you can see right there, where the seal rides is pretty worn. I'm not sure. I mean, I think this thing is original, and it's filled with gear lube right now. It's supposed to be just filled with grease. It's pre-packed with grease, and it's not. Even this gasket cracked, which it's not available, but you can just use silicone. But this thing here is funny. I think I'm going to end up putting this on the passenger side because the passenger side is less likely to leak. For some reason, it always wants to come out the right rear side. So there'll be less on there. The new seal should clear that, I think, Well, I'm going to put the new seal on and see what happens. I'm just going to, slide it over. And, of course, it's super loose because the listing is wrong. So the bearings are wrong. And I'm fucked. This is wonderful. Unreal. I even said that the listing in the Rock Auto, it showed for a station wagon to be a smaller bearing, and I was like, that doesn't sound right, and sure enough it is. And now everything is actually more expensive, so I'm kind of pissed off. Okay, taking apart the other side, I noticed a ton of silicone on it. So somebody was in here, and I'm peeling it off, but I'm also noticing that there's streaks of the same oil, and you can tell it's wet there on the inside. Like it was definitely seeping, because the only thing that was holding was the silicone. So now the bearing gets saturated, but the thing is, it's supposed to be a sealed bearing. Now the other side says Ford on that seal, and I'll show you in a second, but seal is definitely bad. The seal is in there, and this is supposed to be a sealed bearing. There's not supposed to be any gear lube on this or anything, but it feels tight. It don't feel like it's like rolling or making noise or anything like that. So this was changed at some point. It's just that they never changed the seal, because you know, it looks slightly different than the other side, but it's still not right. I don't know if I can see Ford on this like I did on the other side, but it definitely looks like a different bearing. But it looks like this seal looks like it's not modern, you know. So unless this was done 30 years ago, I mean, I don't know. Very possible. Now, like I said, the brakes look okay here, you know. But I remember I couldn't get loose the bleeders when I did the lines and everything. I bled them from the line, and the brakes felt fine. You know, it's not a huge deal. But I'm doing the brakes over because the other side is just way too contaminated. So I got in wheel cylinders and everything, but the bearings are wrong because the Rock Auto listings were wrong. But now I'm thinking I may not have to change the bearings per se, just the seals and the brakes. See, I put the new wheel cylinder in now. This is just so saturated. I don't know if you can really tell, but it's horrible. And the other thing I'm doing is I'm putting modern brake. The emergency brake is going to work better, because this is just the wheel on the spring over there, and now it's gonna hold properly, you know. So it'll be a lot better. And this side here still had the original hard gasket, still had a bearing on it, but this thing is really worn, you know. And it was like an old cloth type, you know, or rope type seal. And I'm really funny about this, you know. But I guess I can maybe not put it as deep in there, or deeper to get over here. But I was contemplating putting it on the other side, because they tend to leak less out of that side. This is definitely looser though. Oh, see, I'm trying to. It's pretty smooth, but when it's this loose, that means the gear loop got to it, and it's just it's supposed to be thick grease on its own, you know. It's kind of silly not to change them, so I'm just gonna do them. And this side, you know, if I can get away with not changing this side, but and it's definitely like the other one had like a very stock looking bearing. This one has other numbers on it. I don't know where they got it. Like I was trying to look for made in China or something. Can't really see. There's definitely like oil on the inside here. So the oil was getting through this, you know. I really feel funny about using it over. I'd rather just fucking change it, because it's kind of silly not to. This one's not worn. I almost want to put this one on the other side. These bearings were more money, but now I did see a bunch of them on eBay, but they're like really old bearings, And because they're a sealed bearing, the grease is really old, and I've seen old bearings have grease. If you can get to them, it's fine, then you can re-grease them, but these are not meant to be greased again. And I kind of don't want to buy. I want to buy like a modern bearing just because I just know where this goes, you know, all that work for nothing kind of thing. That being said, in the other sense, I could just slap it back together, put the new seals on, of course, and then see if it still leaks, particularly from this one that has the fucked up surface there, and hear how it runs, you know. It's not falling off by any means, so I might just do that, and then it's a matter of taking off the wheels, the tires, the drums, and doing all this, but it's kind of silly not to do it in this point. At this point, it's silly not to do it, you know. So, what to do? All right. I don't know if you can see that. Come on. Ford. And it's basically like a rope seal. And on this side, it's different, but it also says Ford. This one really looks original. So being that this one was changed, I have a feeling they, you know, like the bearing was done a long time ago. Because they went to Ford to get the fucking part, probably. Or they found an old Ford part on the shelf. That's insanely old. That one has a spring in it. I don't know if this one does. Yeah, it does. But this one has that whole, like, weird-looking flange thing. That dent is just from me knocking it out. But, wow. I don't know if you can see. Ford. That is old. And now I'm sure that the other side was leaking too. It just the silicone was literally holding it back, which is ridiculous. So I got a couple of bearings off of eBay, new old stock, and it doesn't look too old. It looks like it could be from the 70s or 80s as opposed to the most likely 70s as opposed to like the 50s. There were some people selling a bearing for $7.50. And I ended up, the guy was asking 15, I got it for 11. So that's not so bad, but they didn't look nearly as old as the other ones that were like literally from the 50s, you know. So that's going to work out at least. It's unfortunate because Rock Auto's listings were wrong, and it said it had the bigger bearing. And I said, that doesn't make sense. I said, it makes all the sense in the world for a station wagon, but I rolled with it because I didn't have it apart. Because when you're at the situation, you don't want to be in the situation. So unless I bought both sets together, it would have been a different thing. But this is a little concerning here, this marking here. So hopefully the new seal, you know, because that seal is very wide, where the modern seals, it's about the same thing, but I think I can sheet it towards the inside here, or maybe a little bit deeper. Probably not deeper, but you know, you want it to be square in the hole too, so I just think in general it's going to be fine. I'm going to put the new seal on and test it, and usually they have extra swiping ability, the neoprene seals, because those aren't neoprene. They're like rope seals or some variation of the beginning of some kind of rubber seal, you know. But it needs to be done the right way. These are what machine drums look like. It's amazing how a 70-year-old car, you still have good drums to cut. And all this new shit is just junk. They go bad. Or it needs to be cut so much that you don't have much life left. Now, if you ever did one of these, you usually got to cut them off. But if you have a press, that can go all the way down like this. Now, that being said, it depends how high you got this. You got to build this up more because the flange, if it doesn't go through here, which I didn't check, but it doesn't look like it's going to. But I could be wrong. It just may need to be more centered or something like that. But we'll see. I don't know, should I do this live? Let's see. See if I break anything. Something feels like it's moving, I guess. Or is it just not tight enough? It's got 7,000 pounds, but it's bleeding off, so Did I forget to tighten this? Maybe. It's also because it's long, it brings length to this whole process here. Oh my God, I can't even reach the fucking thing. I used to have a different pipe in here, and then I put this long pipe, and it's not really right for it. Ooh. I also had it all the way down. Yeah, I'm gonna have to get two hands on this. So I had it all the way down, and I'm like, oh, I have more room. And I brought it up. It was past, and I had to push the piston all the way. So always something. I can't make a good YouTube video. So ultimately, bearing was coming off with only like 3,000 to 4,000, which made a lot more sense. I was like, what's going on here? So I figured I was flexing this, and it does not seem like it's bent. I don't think it can without breaking. So basically what happened was I managed to I flipped it over after I got it pressed, because it came out like butter. That came right off, and then I kept hitting it with a hammer and chisel. The bearing wouldn't come off. I had to put these little stilts on, which obviously are not going to be the same height, but being that it was so much further off, it wasn't really much tension on it, and it just came off. I just couldn't get it off by whacking it with a hammer and chisel, because the bearing plate is in the way, and the only access you have is through the hole for there was an access hole through the bolts to get them off the car. That was the one I was using the chisel through. So this was a lot of fun. Okay, second axle. The other one I didn't press it on yet. Ultimately, as straight as you possibly can. If you're not straight, it's probably going to go up too high, And there's definitely a break-off point. But you see right here? Nah, I don't think so. I mean, what happens is you gotta maybe it didn't really come down. So, my opinion, this is wrong. And because of the situation, I gotta lift it all the way up. And what I did last time, which I'm going to do now, is loosen these nuts, get this guy to be a little more flexible. And this is all because it's so far away from the source of the pressing, And, ultimately you can look like this and say, do I have it where I need it to be? In some cases I look at it, it looks like it's got to be there. But I could be wrong. It also is slightly off left to right. Things that don't really matter when you're right on top of the bearing, it simply doesn't matter, So now I'm going to hold this. Let's see what happens. I may have to do two hands again. I really wanted to get it on camera. I didn't even put that thing in the right place, but once you get it in the right place, you hear it crack right away, and then it doesn't even need 3,000 pounds of pressure. So, of course, when I hit it, the arm went down. Okay. So not only do you gotta loosen it, you gotta pull these things apart. And I'm gonna try to center these a little bit more. I think I had them triangulated. Because that's the other thing. You're pushing in the middle here, so this starts to flex, and if it's loose, then you have this. If you make it really tight, though, and it's crooked, it's never going to really find its center. So it's like right now, and because of the little thing in the middle there, it's like a little U, and it's somewhat tight, but it's open on the end there. It's another thing like that, semicircle. It's just not doing what I want it to do then. So I just move this over to try to get this more where I need it to be. And I think this is floating around about the correct area. 7,000 pounds again. Ugh. And it's not, it's funny how this works. It's not doing that like any other time with a bearing. If you hit it with a hammer there, it usually, you know, gives it the ability to move. So I'm going to try a different angle. Can't even reach that side, so it might be something to do with front to back movement. I think I'm going to have to use two hands, guys, so it was just an interesting thing. I'd like to... It's funny how I took the camera off of Ford and went right away. That should be right in the middle of that. I mean, if you're really picking on the little things here, it needed... My God, it don't like me. It's like hitting a spring because it's really flexing that. I don't know, on a molecular level. It's so funny when you got it straight how easy it went. But you know what I might do now? I might take this all off and actually flip it upside down in this case, because I've always put them like this and they always work. But I'm sitting there, I'm fighting angles. It's probably not that difficult. I never use this thing the other way, but you got to figure there's a reason for it to be used that way. And this looks like one of the cases. So maybe I'll try one more time. And if it works, I'll just tell you that it worked. If it doesn't work, then I will flip it over and give it a try. Okay, I said I was going to film it. I'm like, because it's standing perfectly up straight on its own. So as long as it doesn't move as I put the piston on it. Oh my God, it just doesn't want to go. Oh, okay. That was insane. Alrighty. So like I said, 7,000 pounds is more than enough. And you know what? I don't think it came off. I might have been grabbing the wrong thing. Wow. What just happened there? Like the bearing actually came off. But that was the right thing to hit that. But it was also not the right thing. I think it's something to do with that front piece there. It's funny how I got it off the last time. And this one was the one that was done already. So I'm wondering if it has something to do with that, you know, being a fresh piece and not wanting to come off after all these years. But now I still have this piece of bearing on here. So you know what it was? It was leaning on the. This is another reason to do it the other way around in this case. Now that I notice it, because of the thing, it was only contacting on the race. So don't do what I just did. This is the other one I pressed out. Look at it, fucking broken. It broke in pieces. You know, I'm not super confident this guy did the right job because you know he didn't even know how to change a fucking seal. You know, and that is mind blowing. So all right, now I'm gonna flip it over. I said I was gonna film one more time. Fuck it, and I'm glad I did because this would have been a disaster. You know. But I should have, if I hit it like that, I should have hit it at a lot lesser pressure. Like 7,000 is like way too much. It really shouldn't have. It really shouldn't have needed that much, you know. So you know, you don't want to warp your things. I don't think they're warping, but you know, hopefully I'm not wrong. But let me flip it over and get the rest of it off. Okay, just a point of thing here. I gather this is a hardening mark. I don't think it was overheating. It had plenty of grease in it. But basically what was happening was pressing it on the outside, and that's the difference between Chinese parts. And this was the original one, you know. I totally pressed it wrong, you know, and I was hitting this with a, don't mind you, I was hitting this with a thing, but it totally was wrong the way I did it. But in the end, you know, and really, I guess I should have got all the way, and this is tapered. I don't even know what this is going to be. I don't think it's tapered like that. So that tapering is actually meant to be grabbing it like that. I really don't think these are meant like this to do this, but I guess we'll see, you know. That being said, I got to loosen this and bring it up again. This was very interesting, and I didn't get it up enough. I don't think I've ever had that happen to me, ever. You know, unless there's a time I know that I was doing it, you know, funny. Look at this. I keep lifting up the stupid arm, and I have no room to spare. So I got to put this in, tighten it up. It keeps falling down too, so that's another thing. I don't know if I just naturally have some. All right, this guy's in there. Still got to. It's still a point of centering to some degree. So ultimately, when I was hitting the hammer, it's also hitting the hammer on the edge and just getting the outside edge. Because that was tilted in, it wasn't hitting this. Now, I don't know if this is tilted or not, but I gather in this case, I should have went further in. The problem is that I couldn't get it, you know, centered straight. That's why a lot of people just cut it off, you know, which I'm not going to tell you it's the right way to do it, because I just did it on the other one without much issue. But that was an original bearing. So let's see what happens here. Look at that. It was like it wasn't that much, and it popped through already. So that mattered because this one is basically flat. This one is way wider and has that taper, and it gives you something to bite on. Now, that being said, that thing is bent up. So I don't know if it was straight and I bent it. I have a feeling it was tapered like this. I got old school bearings, so I'm curious how they look. But we'll see. But that came out right away. I would suggest doing it like this if you're going to, you know, do it relatively loose and everything. It comes right away then, because that was. I'm glad I wasn't standing. You know, imagine, you know, this is why I was knelt down all the way here, and I was reaching up for this, and that made a huge difference. So, and it went right away. Mainly, the dead giveaway why it was done was because they scratched the thing, and that's what you risk. You risk scratching the area that you're trying to cut off the bearing at, and it's close to the seal. You know, these are all things that, you know, I try not to do. You know. So this one is kind of rough. I think I'm going to put that to the passenger side, to the driver's side, because it's less likely to leak. But it really took a beating over the years, you know, particularly from the seal on this one and from the way these guys took out this one. So we shall see. Hopefully everything works out all right, and it's not a catastrophe. You know, so I got the bearings pretty cheap. I got to take them out of the box, and I used the cleaner to clean off all the old gasket here. You can see they hacked up all this too. You know, it's not a huge deal because it shouldn't leak, but if it leaks, it has to leak out somewhere. That's why there's a hole right here, so the oil doesn't get on the brakes. But the hole was clogged up with a whole bunch of fucking shit on this one, and this one, it had silicone everywhere. So I don't even know if it was leaking. You know, they very well could have just siliconed it so much that it just sits in silicone and it just seeps out of here, which is what it seemed like it was doing. It's, you know, and it's also, if it's not as bad a leak, it's just not going to leak as much. This one here is definite damage where the seal is riding, so I'm not quite sure about that just yet. So, because, you know, it's really hard to try to put the seal in, not as good this way, not as far. Because what happens is if you don't put it in all the way, it doesn't hit the back of the bore that it's in, so it's not then making a good connection, and it's cocked. If it's cocked in there, it's not going to ride properly on that anyway. So you might as well just hope that the thing fits in there. I'm going to put a seal over it and see how well it goes. It might be plenty of, what we need there, but it's like a sharp fucking point even, so sucks. But what are you going to do? You can't really do much about it, Oh, these are like those really old boxes from yesteryear. I mean, it's obviously made in America, which I like, but they do have some blemishes. There's another one that was even cheaper than these, and they were riddled with rust, and I was like, and I just know they looked like they were literally from the 40s or 50s. And these feel fine, Believe it or not, a lot of new bearings are super tight. These aren't that tight, and I kind of like that. I don't think it should have so much resistance on it, so it's like almost like they made everything better. But I got to get a little bit of this rust off of this one. These were seal. If you want to call it a cheap seal, it's a cheap seal. Oh my God, open the fucking box. Okay, so these are actually pretty nice. Okay. So I'll leave it on this side. Take these with me. Slide that on there. What a mess I got. Oh, I just stepped and bent my keys. That's wonderful. All right. Cleaned the mess at one point, but not all of it. And just regrew like cancer. All right. So this guy here, because it's funny when you look at the national seals and everything, they kind of look like an open seal. This one didn't have a picture, but I mean, if I had to guess, it goes in like that because it's the deeper one. So it will go over like this. Oh, you know what? Where's the surface? Where's the mark? Oh, this is going to be fine. This is just so much to ride that it's absolutely fine. Zero issues with this. Where is it? Yeah, it's right there on that thing. This thing here, it's like it's so tight just to get on. Did I have that backwards? I had that. Yeah. Yeah, that's a beautiful thing. So yeah, we're gonna send these home all the way. It's not gonna be an issue. And I kind of had a feeling the neoprene usually does that. There's just a sharp, it's a sharp squeegee edge, and it just does what it needs to do. When it comes to that situation, you hope it doesn't do too much damage there. Being in a little rut, but maybe it won't exactly be there. But all in all, I think it'll be fine. If the end result is you got to change the fucking seal every 20,000, 30,000 miles, that'll be, more likely when I'm dead. So, all good. I don't want to say that. We're going to live 900 years old. So I'm going to clean these up and get these pressed on, put them in the press. Soldering something the other day, and I just turned it off, but you see it was on. It was on 896 degrees for 5 days. I forgot to turn it off. That won't last long. So I'm not 100% sure. I used to press these things on with both of them at the same time. Obviously, if we have a problem, I will find out pretty quickly. But I don't think it's going to be an issue. The main issue is holding this, so it goes through. So you can see, or maybe not. Do I need my reading glasses to look at my glasses? Yeah, Mike, look at my phone. Yes. So it's staying between 3,000 and 4,000. It's getting up to 5,000 near the end there. It still has a little bit to go. Okay, so that's definitely on all the way, and it's probably up to 7,000. Yes, it is. And get the fuck on. All right. Okay, pretty easy. Now we do the other one. Okay, fast forward. We got the other one up all hooked up there, and same thing. I gotta avoid getting this not in the right place. Uh-oh. Did that just bind? Oh, it just binded. Ah. I shouldn't have filmed it. Now, it wouldn't be any different from one to the other, but it's possible I don't have this thing lined up, right? I don't know. All right, I'm going to use two hands. It's amazing, because I'm blind as a bat, how, because that thing exploded, I guess, and I wasn't paying attention, I didn't, all I got off with the other end, I didn't get off the center part. So I'm putting it on, I'm like, it's hitting the max. So now I'm gonna clamp this one for sure and try to get it out. Jesus Christ, I give myself more problems sometimes. I tell you, I can't see for shit up close. Okay, I got a phone call. That was a long time. I was trying to hit it with a hammer, but I had to actually put it down one more level because I didn't have the, and then I had to space this out more because it's in the middle of the bearing, so it was just at the point before I was just able to get underneath. But now, as you can see, it's going down, thank God. So one is pulling off the other, and I don't know if this is going to hit. Ooh. Boy, I hope that's not scraping the fucking... Hang on a second. So I repositioned it forward a little more because I was afraid that the lug nuts was going to hit. And you can see it's getting close. Just got it. Okay. I don't even know why I answered the phone, but ultimately that guy is... I don't think this will turn on the light or not. I don't think so. Where is it? Anyway, I saw it just barely up against one of these lugs, and sure enough, I got a little dink there. So I got to clean that up. That's not a problem, you know. So this should go smooth like the other side. I don't think it's going to be an issue, but maybe I'll film it. And this is why I don't cut them off. I try not to, at least. And if I cut them off fucking right. You got, you know, notch there. Okay, it's not on. I just haven't thrown it on. But you see now that I got the other half of the bearing off, look. Cut there, and I guess that's the only one. I've seen worse and still be fine, but it's still it's kind of annoying, you know. But I can't make up for other people's mistakes. What am I supposed to do? But just to voice my opinion of how I would do something versus how, you know, somebody else would. All right, so we're all set up here. It's going in nice and smooth. This is not 100% aligned. Looking pretty good. Still got a 1/4 of an inch or so. So crank it up a little bit just to make sure that it's seated. Remember, somebody cut it with a whiz wheel or something, so you want to make sure you really get it, planted in. And that's it. Yeah, it was amazing that this one was actually sealing, because this was just the one that has the cut marks, where I don't really want to see cut marks. You know? Oh my God, look at that. What the fuck happened there? Oh, Jesus Christ. Well, apparently there was a piece of foreign material. Oh boy. Or maybe that be, oh, you know what it is? That's that cut mark. That cut mark, it put a fucking gouge in the fucking thing when you pressed it off. Oh, shit. Because this was the new one that they put on, so it didn't have anything funny, but I gather it nipped that piece. Or it had a piece of fucking metal under it. How the fuck are you supposed to see that? Oh my God. Oh boy. Now I look like a fucking amateur. This is what happens. Don't take phone calls when you're in the middle of doing shit. Because if there's something wrong, I guess there was some rust in the new pieces. This is on all the way. I don't understand that. You know what's tough? I think the fucking thing was hitting it. Oh my God, you would think that would even out. I can barely hit it with my fucking thing. It looks worse than it actually is, so I'm going to clean it up and I think it'll be fine. Can't get a break. I'm trying to think, which way did it... If I had this thing upside down, it looks like it was scraping this way. Unless it got... Oh no, because it tapers out and then it gets thinner here. I don't understand how how that thing could actually make a groove in it. Like I said, I think it's just a little scrape. It looked a lot worse. Now I can't even really. All right, I'll have to clean that up, but it won't be so bad. Oh well, you like to do things without problems, but I think next time what you got, what I should have done is gotten either the old bearing or another piece, but I've done it like that. It's fine, but it's like, my God, everything's going after me. The whole world is. That wasn't me, actually. This one, I have another one on here. It was the one I saw, and then when I flipped it over, it was this line here. Of course, I have the light on the phone, so this is not helping. Can I shut? Okay, so if I turn off the light, it's just barely there. But it's definitely not nearly as bad as the one that they did, because this is, oh no, wait, maybe that was theirs. I guess that's the cut. You telling me I put 2 grooves in this thing? I was cleaning it up though. I'm not happy about it, believe me. But I don't think it's really going to be a problem, but it could have been the reason why it's partially leaking and why they loaded it up with silicone, maybe. I don't know. I guess we'll find out, That's really sucky. I wonder if they make a sleeve for these things. I don't think so. I don't think it's going to be terribly a big deal. So, I did get, honestly, it's like when it digs in, the outsides, they curl up, like metal comes up. I can barely, It's definitely something there still. I can keep cleaning it up a little bit just to make it smooth because you don't want to cut up the new seal. That's the main thing. Because the seal is like really, really good. Like I said, it'll cover all of this and have a larger, swiping point or, a gradual swiping point where there's going to be almost nothing that's really going to get into the way. But, like I said, not what I wanted. It looks much bigger on camera because I'm zooming in, but it's barely anything really. And this is another one. So I really don't know if it was this. I cleaned off all the rust on the mating surface. See, on the outside here, I didn't, bother much. This one had a little bit of rust on the outside, along with the other one. And all I did was just, I cleaned it up here, Like, I missed that, I think. So yeah, see, I got this one already. So that's no big deal because that's going on the outer part. It's not once the seal is actually working, then all this is not really a big deal. This is a sealed bearing with grease in it already. But there's another thing here now. So I have a feeling this is mostly on the other one. It's also possible because they dug it out that I'm trying to see in the inside here. I mean, there's a whole bunch of lines everywhere. There's mostly the horizontal lines, but it's very possible that when I took this off, it just fucking scraped it up because when they put it on, they didn't have much care, They didn't clean it up. So it's like, what are you going to do? There's not much you can. You got to see if it fucking leaks. It sucks. But, in hindsight, getting a pair of used axles, would you still do the bearings then? Of course, probably, but these are going to be nice bearings. It's going to be fine for a while. Like I said, these guys went to town on this, so, it is what it is at this point. I can't really do much about it, but I'm going to clean up the other side now, too. All right. That's still on the deep side, but it's way better. This is the original, the one on the passenger side rear. And I'm going to put the axles back where they were just in case. I just, with all this wear, you don't know if it's better inside the rear end. I don't know. I don't know at this point. But this one here, it cleaned up pretty good, but, it's always worse to have a scratch going across, Again, it looks so much worse on camera. Like, I can't even put my fingernail on that one. These are, small. This one was a deeper one. But I got it down pretty good, So, it is what it is, I think. I think the rubber seal is going to make up for it. The little bit that it leaks out is going to be nothing. Like, you'd have to park it there, and but the rear end is not full of fluid up to the axles. It just isn't, So, like, if this was facing on the downside and it was filled up with oil up to this point, then it can maybe leak. But I don't think once the seal breaks in, it needs some time to break in, but it'll be okay. Just still, it's not what you want to do, trust me. So, and I got to clean up that thread on that axle, and then I think we're done. Put it back in then. So, a little bit dangerous, but I put them on my bench grinder like this. Ate up a bunch of gloves on my fingertips. But, first of all, I had to, in order to get that in, I had to take it all apart again. I had done this side, not the other side anyway, so it's not a big deal. I had to get different springs, because I bought the wrong ones. So, like, I was trying to make them work, and it just wasn't happening. What it had a smaller green spring, and the other kit, which they were a front kit, not a rear kit, so the springs would have been the same. The springs, they're a little too big, but I might have been able to deal with them for the most part, but this was way too small, and that's because a lot of these anchor pins on Fords and Dodges have a little wing on this, with a little hole to accept the thing where the old one didn't. So I just picked the wrong year. I decided to pick it for his other car, which is a Maverick, and I had to go like 69 Ford Mustang to get the ones I needed, because it had to have this and it had to have the same size shoes. So Basically, the only difference between this, because like the springs are basically the same from the old one, you know, same thickness when you get up here, but the end result is the thickness of this. So it was, I was forcing it around. I'm like, it was going to hold, but I was like, let me just shave off a hair. And it actually shaved off a lot. It's still like super thick. It's not going to be an issue. I don't know if you could use one from a Mustang, but a lot of times this stuff doesn't end up being in the right place when you start mixing matching parts. So I'd rather just take a little bit off this because it's meant for this. It's meant for these shoes and this placement. So too thin, maybe not good either. They can ride off or something like that. So it should be okay. But for the most part, this is coming together. And I got one side and I'm going to do the other side in a little bit. So a real quick point I want to make, brakes are in, and I had a hard time getting the drum on. I kept messing with it, kept adjusting it. And you see how I have a little bit of adjustment here? This is just to take up the slack. I had this all the way in, and this shoe kept like coming out, you know? And I kept forcing it down, trying to get the drum on. I just couldn't figure it out. And it reminded me of something, and I'm like, you know what? I have a feeling that, you know, if somebody has like an emergency brake pull, because this was a manual car, so a lot of people don't even move the automatics, and it's good to not move them from that point on unless you know that the parts are available. But in any case, when you have if you go to a mechanic, you tell them, oh, my emergency brake cable takes a long time to pull up. If they just adjust the cable, okay, they may have to adjust it a lot to make up for it, because where the source is, which is at the brakes, is where the most of the play is. So if you just adjust the rear brakes, the emergency brake will work better. That being said, when you go and have the guy adjust the cable, if you do finally do the rear brakes, then you can't get the drums on, because the emergency brake at the lowest point is still pulling. So I was fighting with it, and then I loosened it, and once I loosened it, it was just stuck there for so long, I had to give it a little push, and boom, it went on. Now it's way too loose, and I had to take off the drum again and adjust this up. So, like right now, this should go on, or I'll lose my mind. Yeah, it's still loose, but like it was like literally not going on. Couldn't get it to go on, but it went on halfway. So it made me feel like the shoes were moving and whatnot, but it shouldn't have had the ability if they were all the way, you know, at the lowest point. So that's what basically did it. Okay. So it gets more interesting. So now this is how much I adjusted it, and it's not even near tight. And I'm like, why is it, now it's like not even adjusting? So here's the problem. I went to the other side, and the other side is too tight. And I can't even get the stupid thing on. I'll show you in a second. Hang on, let me just adjust this all the way down. See, what happens is the rear brake cable is one cable. It goes from one wheel to the other. So one adjustment affects the other in a certain sense. You know, so being that I have the whole thing loose at the end there, this is now taking up all the slack, and I'm adjusting it, and it's not going anywhere because it's not an individual cable. It's all one cable, so it just keeps pulling the cable, and this keeps moving, and it's not really doing this because it's not pulling on the other side. So now I'm backing this off to go like in like that, but right now you see how this pin is square here, and this misses it. Well, this here on the other side is all the way out. It doesn't want to go in. So my guess is that now that I did that, and it's not set in stone, this is the way it's supposed to be, because it's just the mechanical part of having to be pushing it. See, like I'm having a hard time here, and I can't even, but I think it's going to end up going now, and it might need more coming off the main cable. The main cable just happened to loosen that side a little bit more, and it didn't at first. Like I had to force the drum on, so it's something where you kind of got to be rough with it and start yanking on this. And you know, the spring really has a lot of spring here, so it's like it's really got to crush in. So it's really pushing to I don't want to say, because it goes on by pulling it, but it almost does the same effect when it can't go in. So I don't know. It was something weird where it just wasn't going in. And, you know, with the bar here going across, that matters. So I got to get this on with two hands, and then hopefully that'll help. So, just to let you know, what else? And I just used it, but it's like nowhere near me. Where is that? What's the point of making this video? Here it is. Make sure your thing always fits in. It's a close fit, but you always want it to be loose so you can still get it in, because sometimes these things, the numbers get tight. So you just don't want to make a mistake. Story of my life. It's like all day, the last day I was here, and today, I keep hitting things on my feet, like Bugs Bunny hitting the rake, whatever. But like, I did it, it startled me, lug nuts came out, but they pretty much went, doop, boop. Only 4 of them. I go right there at the moment, I was like, where the hell is it? I'm like, I'm looking like, where did it flip over my fucking head? And even then, it's like, it's a vast expanse here. Like, I don't see where it could possibly go. I looked under both cars. It's just incredible how this luck of mine does stupid things like this. But